Do you have one, Ben?
Oh, do I need one?
You should probably come over here.
Yeah, I'll sit up there.
Okay, we're gonna start again. We're gonna open the meeting at about 7:06 p.m. Welcome to the Park and Rec meeting on February 14th, 2018. And the first thing we'll do is approve or amend the meeting minutes, the meeting agenda for tonight. Does anybody have any additions or corrections?
I'd like to make a couple of additions.
Okay.
One of them I'd like to make is graffiti vandalism in Twin Lakes Park.
Okay. We'll make that number 3.
Mm-hmm. And then the other one that I'd like to make is signage for the city rink.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
I want to talk about park, just general park signage that I brought up a couple meetings ago. Just signs that say, you know, park is here.
Okay, number 3 is going to be the graffiti vandalism 4 signage for the city rink, and number 5 park signage in general. And number 6 adjournment. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? And I'll second that. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, approve or amend the October 3rd.
Wait a minute, you're ahead of yourself. I don't think you got the amended one. You got to make it chairman.
No, I didn't know there was an amended one. Thank you.
Well, this says amended, but I don't have the chairman. Oh yeah, appointed recreation chairman.
Weird. Weird. I don't know. I just don't have that on there. This was what I got.
So there's no differences.
No, just appoint the Park and Recreation chairman. So what we'll do is we'll open that up for nominations for chairman. Does anybody have any nominations for Park and Rec chairman for 2018?
I think you should continue on.
I nominate Judy.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? I nominate Chris.
You have a vote for Judy?
Wait a minute, isn't there some discussion or no?
Well, I don't think we have to make a motion on it, do we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Yeah, you just have to close nominations if you're both willing to serve and then
yeah.
have an actual ballot.
Oh, so we want a ballot for voting.
We have to have a ballot?
Or just
Who
a,
nominates Judy?
We don't need a ballot.
You can't do a secret ballot, it just has
No,
to
we-
be.
Who nominates Judy?
They both did.
All right,
Who nominates Chris? Guess what? You're
okay.
elected.
All right, I'll accept, that's fine.
that was easy, Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and then on to approve or amend the October 3rd meeting minutes. And we all read them at home, right? And we all are ready to vote on this?
That's the last time we met?
Yeah, sadly.
Are we on video too? Because if so, I'm totally blocking the view.
That's okay.
We're no video, that's fine.
It's on.
I'll move.
You're just fine.
Yeah,
You're not blocking
you're not blocking
anything.
it.
Okay.
So you're good. Okay, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes as printed? I'll make that motion.
One second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. Do we have any floor items tonight? Okay. On to number 2, Park and Trail Plan, and I want to welcome our planner, Liz Stockman, for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for coming and working with us on this.
Thank you. So what I have, you all got in your packets a copy of the Park and Trail Plan that's in our current comprehensive plan. And I made a larger copy, just black and white, in case you need to draw on it or change anything. So our goal tonight is to review our existing plan, which contains not only existing facilities, parks and trails. We have some conservation areas. We have a, Morton Farm Preserve. The Bearman Wildlife Area was just sold, so we can actually remove that from our plan. It was sold to one of the neighboring landowners down on Burns Parkway there. And the,
40 acres?
yes, just under. And the plan also shows future park search areas and future trail areas. As you know, some of the trails are regional, as planned by the county and Met Council, and other trails are planned to follow local streets and or run alongside some of our other roads. So our goal is to make sure that this is still what we want to see through the year 2040. So we update our comp plan every 10 years. And I just did a little mock-up here of that same map that you all got, but I highlighted a few areas. There's some potential for some fairly large subdivisions to happen in the city, which we haven't had for quite some time. And so we may want to evaluate that. We may want to look to be sure that the trails are all still where we would like them to be, the planned trails. The other thing up by is it Burns Lake? Way up here, right? Burns?
Yeah.
Yes. Up by Burns Lake, we have a park search area. And we've had 3 new homes go in up there. There's a 20-acre piece right on the lake. and then there's a 20-acre piece just south of it. Right here, there's a 20-acre piece here where a new house went on. Here's a new house going up now, and then this gentleman also built on his 40 acres, and he fenced in that whole piece that touches Norris Lake Road. So anyway, you know, there's still additional land within that search area. We may want to amend it slightly because I just don't foresee those properties being re-subdivided anytime soon. The only time we can acquire land for parks is through the dedication process in a subdivision, as part of a subdivision, or if a city purchases land somewhere. So, generally speaking, I like how the park search areas are spaced out. And I'm fairly comfortable as well with the planned trails that are shown on the map. One thought I had was, and I know it's been just briefly touched on before, and maybe you can share if you've ever talked about it, but you know, now then Lions Park is right in the middle of the city.
That's now then Memorial Park.
Memorial Park, okay. So I wonder why,
We don't have a Lions Park.
why it says Lions on there.
I wondered that too.
Okay. Well, good, we'll correct that. So, you know, the park is kind of surrounded by commercial industrial development. Looking into the long term, it may be beneficial to use the park for other city functions, city buildings as we grow. I don't know, you know, that may be one option, and relocate the ball field, for instance. The other option would be to subdivide and sell lots where that park is and create a larger business park. Not that the city has to do it, but it's something to think about. And that could happen in any of these search areas. It could happen in an area that's not currently shown on our map. So you generally know the city better than I do. With the larger lots, a lot of people recreate in their own properties, but it still is nice, and I know there's many times a lack of space for ball fields and soccer fields, just generally speaking, you know, region-wise. So, that was a little introduction. Another thing, well, you did also in your packet was the part of the frontage road plan that was adopted. Those were the quadrant maps that were in color. All these maps. So those were part of our frontage road plan, and some of those do as well have park search areas. So in other words, let's start with quadrant 1. Yeah, which is our existing Nowlin Memorial Park quadrant, northwest of Nowlin Boulevard and Viking.
Is that 1 of 8?
That's 1 of 8, right. So there's no additional park areas there because we do have Nowlin Memorial Park, so that looks fine. So 2 was actually removed from the comp plan through a comprehensive plan amendment, so we no longer have a quadrant 2. Quadrant 3 of 8 is the southwest quadrant of 5 and 22. We have a little bit more limited space as far as commercial development there. The council is talking about expanding toward this yellow area that you see, which is currently residential farmland, possibly expanding commercial to the west along Viking. So that is currently a consideration, hasn't been determined for sure yet. So no additional park search areas in that location, at least right now. I don't know of any larger subdivisions coming in that quadrant. I just know of maybe 1 or 2 homes that may be added on existing parcels at the present time. And so moving to quadrant 4, the southeast quadrant of 5 and 22. This is the land, the 80 acres just south of the 80 acres that the Engs own, through which 5x6 was removed from commercial industrial and changed to yellow residential. So they, as you have seen, there was a small plat approved along 5 there with 2 additional homes on the Eng property for their children. They currently use the whole rear 40 as pasture. So, a lot of this area to the south of that point, you know, has been split up. So it's harder to get, you know, a large parcel of land for future parks in that area. So nothing included on the, at least as part of the So when we get to the next 3, the other quadrant, which is 47 and 22, we have added some park search areas as part of our frontage road plan several years ago. So I'm on 5 of 8, quadrant 5, and we're showing a park search area north of Old Viking and west of 47 possibly. So if that is acceptable, we would, it's kind of in the vicinity adjacent to the current conservation area, which makes a lot of sense to have those. And then between Kern and the brook there. So somewhere in here, we would add a search area, possibly. And then there's, so that would be also in a residentially zoned area. And then quadrant 6, we have 2 smaller search areas which have potential on the south, or excuse me, this would be the northeast quadrant of 47 and 22. So this was like Green's property and just north of that. So he's not interested in splitting now, but he's got a combination of commercial, industrial, and residential. Most of the residential land abuts Oak Grove on the far east side. So right around, oh wait, no, I goofed up. No, that's right. So somewhere in here, possibly, I could show a search area. Anyway, so if it's okay, we would mirror what we have in our frontage road plan, because this actually became part of our comprehensive plan. So what we would do is add these search areas to the map, the main map here, all in one, unless you chose not to do so. And it's not to say that you can never ask for parkland that's outside of those areas. If situations change, you know, in the next 10 years or whatever, or as you're going along, you can vary from this slightly, but this is just generally speaking that in that vicinity we are looking for parkland at the time we acquire additional lots and add residents to our city. So now I'm on to quadrant 7, which is south of 47 and, or excuse me, south of 22 and west of 47. And actually in this vicinity, we have Mr. Skogquist. He owns some land about a quarter to a half mile south of 22 here. So one option would be to kind of coordinate with him as he comes forward. I believe he is in concept planning stages right here. His property actually does not abut the brook, but it's fairly close to it. So somebody lives on the other side of the brook and just has the open space on the east side. There's a 40-acre piece that kind of traverses the brook. And then in the final quadrant 8, we have a large parcel owned by Kent Racer, and I forget the other large landowner just south of Key that abuts Benjamin Lake. And we're also showing a park search area there, assuming at some point that will all be residential. And as you can see, we have that pink trail, potential trail corridor that is intended to follow city streets that runs through there. So somewhere around Benjamin Lake, we can show a search area unless you want to amend that. So that would be kind of how the map looks at the present time. So any thoughts on amending this? You can make park search areas larger or smaller. One question I had was regarding the trail that's shown along the brook, especially over here where we already have a lot of development. Without the ability to subdivide further here, it's kind of tough to go back in after the fact and get, you know, trail right of way. You know, that's not to say that can't be your goal, because it may take 20 to 30 years to achieve that. You know, even if we, as people subdivide, it may even take longer, probably not even in our lifetime. But you have to start somewhere, and just as long as that's still your goal, that's fine. But you just have to know that it would be tougher to acquire that right away without the subdivisions happening. And the other thing about trails along the creek are, of course, you have a lot more woodlands and a lot more wetlands to deal with, which makes it costly to construct. But you can also, you know, go back and forth, you can follow the road, and then, you know, maybe in the open area, you can acquire some land from somebody and then kind of zigzag back and forth too. So, just kind of looking for your thoughts. And
My personal opinion, take that trail out of there. They never afford to put it in.
well, you know, you have to think too about where your funds come from. You know, it'll come as we develop. Yes, it would be more expensive for sure. Yeah, if you don't want to deal with it.
It's real, it's tough to duck hunt. I have friends that duck hunt that strip, and it's really tough.
To even walk through there.
Yeah, that'd really cost to
Topography.
develop, and it's just not
Pretty steep.
conducive to, especially with the limited funds that we seem to have. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it might make more sense to focus your limited funds elsewhere. As far as, yeah, construction.
Have you ever been back in there by any chance?
I've just, looked at area photos, and the topo is steep, and I know there's a lot, big wetland fringe in a lot of places.
It's a tough one.
Yeah. So even if we took the segment out between 22, and what is this, Cleary? You know, up to here, you could still start at Cleary and go over to the west. A lot of this is open, and there's some potential through here as people split, you know, which would still be a nice segment. You know, it's nice to have some parts of your park plan to be overland trails, in other words, not paralleling streets all the time. Almost like a park corridor, linear corridor, we call them sometimes.
How do you get, okay, yeah, those are nice, but how do you acquire those? What's the process?
The process is through subdivision only, typically, unless the city goes in and tries to buy up.
Most people don't want that, you know, in, a trail in their backyard, especially if they got a 10 or 20 or 30 or 40. They don't want people back there normally.
Well, the way it works is when you're subdividing, you plan for it. So it's not just an 8-foot corridor for the trail itself. It can be a 20 or even a 30-foot corridor where you've got trees. It's actually, you know, wider where you've got some screening. It's not like you're walking through someone's backyard.
I thought we were talking about the corridor from Ekstrom to Pinnaker to Goose Lake. Isn't that what you were pointing at, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, this is kind of
Yeah,
overland.
I brought that up years ago. That would be perfect for a canoeway or just paddleboard canoes, a motorless nature area, you know, and start at Ekstrom, which is right by the road. Which, what's the law? I mean, it'd be nice to be able to park right there on what's that road, Joe?
This-
Yeah, and park and put your boat in Ekstrom there, and eventually clean out to the next lake, which is Pinnaker. And I've never been past Pinnaker, but I don't know how. But that would be a nice nature area back there. If it's, you know, that's probably the best nature area we have in the city, and most people aren't aware of it. But if you could access it, you know, without breaking the law from right there on the road. Just start off with just Ekstrom for canoes and paddle boards, because at Twin Lakes it's getting too crowded. You got jet skis, motorboats, and then you got those paddle boards and all those things, and there's going to be an accident down there one of these days.
So where is this Ekstrom, this little tiny?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the next one's Pinnaker, and then
So-
the other one's Goose.
Right.
You ever been back there, Joe? From Pinnaker to Goose?
I've been back there on Lesico property, I've been back there.
Does that go all the way to Goose Lake or no?
It's one of the lakes back there.
I know there's one you can see behind them, but I don't think that's just the gravel pit, isn't it? That you can see right behind this house. Yeah. But that's our best thing. And also on the north side, right next to Patty Wirtz's house there, that field there.
Yes, yes.
Some lawyer bought that years ago, and they were gonna put a house on that, and for some reason they didn't. And I thought it was recently for sale, or might be for sale now, but it'd be nice if we could get a strip there on the west end, is the high end of the lot. If we could just get a strip big enough to drive back there and park and launch canoes and paddle boards, that would be a nice one.
Up here off of
That's
Norris Lake.
the one that
Off of 24.
we
Yeah.
looked at,
Oh.
and you
that
sent
one.
me, yes, that
When I
one.
said it was all
Yeah,
wet.
that would be a
Yes.
perfect, it's high on the west side there.
Yes.
High enough to get just a road, or, so you can launch a thing. It wouldn't have to, not a playground and all that, but those paddle boards, we have 3 of them, and kayaks, those are becoming more and more. It'd be nice, eventually we could probably do a setup like they have on Sunfish Lake in Ramsey, where you you register at City Hall, and you can go and rent and you use the paddle boards there.
What's the name of that lake?
In Ramsey?
By Patty Wirtz.
Big pardon?
By Patty Wirtz. What's the
Pinnaker.
Just north of Pinnaker, yeah.
Yeah, but that would be perfect for just a minimum intrusive lane there, I don't know, 50 feet wide as this room is all you would need, just so you can get in and out and, pull over to the side and launch, non-motorized craft.
So that
Yeah, I like that.
is the only access back there, right? I mean, there's no
There's no
other.
access right now, to my knowledge.
Is there a connection You said there was, right, from Ekstrom?
I mean, there's a
to
creek
Pinnaker.
that flows through the whole thing, but I don't know, if you can get anything through it, it could just be, you know, cattails.
Weedy, yeah.
You know, right now, but, through, I mean, that could be cleaned out little by little too, you know? That could be a future process, that would be worth putting money into. It's right off of 24, I think that's one of our best options, in my opinion. But the thing about that makes it, so lucrative is it's right by the road right there. So if we could,
Yeah.
then I don't know, what the law is about, you know, lodging there, but it's really, you know, it's right there. Versus on the north side, you have to, Joe would have to put a wayfare thoroughfare through there. But if we could just, put a parking area right there off of that road for a few vehicles to lodge there.
And that's nice, I mean, it is contained.
Have you seen the lake? Have you seen that?
I have just seen it, you know.
You, Chris?
I have not.
closely.
But yeah, it's a nice little, you know, just for a family that wanted to have a non-intrusive outing out, just floating on a floaty or, you know, on a paddling with some kids or something. That would be a nice one. In my opinion, of all the properties I've seen in the city, that would be a good starter. One of the, you know, of course, not the only one, but it's a nice, I've seen that for years there. And I've talked to, there's a guy that lives on the south side, and I think his property goes almost up to it. And that young guy, I know his brother, and I was supposed to go over there years ago, and it just never materialized. But anyway, what's the process of something like this? I mean, people have been telling us, I'm the senior guy on this committee, and I don't know if I've been on here 8, 10, 12 years, but they've always shoved the park and trail plan in front of us, but there's no funds. So what is
Right.
what, you know?
What's the first step?
Yeah, what's the process?
And when Dan,
You know, then we can't go talk to people because I know I was just asking, about the fencing prices or something, if the price this year for the fencing for, the foosball was the same, and I got accused of negotiating prices with, you know, with the vendor, which was not true, you know, I was just seeing it carried over because it didn't go up last year, so what's the process? And they keep telling us, we're just a recommending committee, so if we say, yeah, it'd be nice to have something right there, where does it go from there?
and Liz, before you answer that, you know, I guess the other part of Dan's question too is where the funds come from. And, you know, one of your comments was that it comes from subdivisions or the city purchasing land. Well, the subdivisions, you know, I live out in Autumn Acres, right up the road, and, you know, that developer obviously decided to buy out of the park option and, you know, sell that as a lot rather than build a park and, you know, and trails there. And is that something that could continue, or is there an opportunity for the council to establish a rule that going forward they can no longer do that? Is that mandate something? Because because the thing about it is that these developers are going to come in and for what they can get for property out in the country like this is going to outweigh, you know, what they could put into a park and trail fund, you know, with the city. So they're going to sell that lot, and we're never going to have a subdivision where a developer is going to say, okay, I'm going to let you guys develop a park here.
So there's a couple ways to think about it. Generally, in a more rural setting like now then, since people have typically larger lots upon which, you know, you can have a swing set for your kid or just play volleyball or kind of recreate, doesn't seem to be a lot of need for what we call neighborhood parks or the smaller playground parks. I've heard the city council kind of talk about focusing on, you know, larger parks, citywide type parks, such as Memorial Park, where it's open kind of to all residents.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way of thinking. And yeah, so, but when a subdivision comes in for discussion, we look at the map and we say, okay, do we have a park search area in that vicinity? If we do, then we can kind of evaluate the subdivision and figure out, okay, is it 10 lots, is it 50 lots, you know, how big and what would the dedication amount be, or what would, you know, and then there's a computation as far as how much land would have to be dedicated. So, and then, you know, we can wheel and deal, so to speak, with that developer. You know, whether or not, I'm not sure what year your subdivision was put in, that there was either not a park plan or they didn't, just decided at that time for any reason. The city council does have that option to pass and just take the, you know, money in lieu of land. So it sort of just depends on that council at the time. I mean, I would like to see the majority of plats, not necessarily lot splits, but plats, come through the Park and Rec for review and recommendation. I mean, that is really a instrumental part of your job, to recommend it, not only, you know, where, if and where this park would go, you know, into the subdivision. So, yeah, it's not easy. It's a call that has to be made kind of on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you have a plan like this and you know that, hey, that subdivision is in a critical area, you know, maybe in a trail connection and or where you want land, you know, sometimes you'll take, sometimes let's say you want 10 acres in this search area, you might take 5 from one guy and 5 from the neighbor. You know, yeah. That kind of thing, so.
Okay.
You use the verbiage take, I mean, it would all depend on
Take,
if
yeah,
if
not,
somebody
yes,
sell, because
not literal taking.
a lot of people, you know, I know a lot of people out here, and a lot of people, like, even this trail here, a lot of people wouldn't want the intrusion, you know.
Well, but see, it is a trade-off, Dan, for, the city has that right for when a subdivision comes through to ask for parks, trails, and or cash in lieu of such.
Right, I understand that, but ideally, you know, you want a trail that goes from that dirt road all the way, you know, to, you know, and there's numerous properties already there.
Existing.
Right.
Yeah, existing.
No, I know, I
But on
know.
the map, you know, so, yeah, that'd be a nice trail, but in truth, there's places there that don't want people on there. So our hands are tied, always one person in the middle, but, you know, no access. So, you know, so I'm, you know, there's no, what's the process of doing this? And, you know, what's the, how do you do something like that?
Well,
With that lake, little lake right here, it's right by the road. So, you know, maybe that would be a step to getting in there. And once you do get in there, do the city have the authority to clean out the creek? You know, or is that trespassing?
No.
Is it like the roads where you, on the roads, you have 30 feet on each side of the center line? Is there such a thing, terminology, when you, from the middle of this creek back, you have the right to make a waterway there? Is it, or, you know?
Well, yeah, most of these larger creeks and large wetlands, creeks, and lakes are under DNR jurisdiction,
Okay.
so.
How much,
even-
how much wider than the middle, how wide is the court, you know?
Well, you know, generally you're out 1,000 feet from lakes and 300 feet from creeks, but the actual waterway itself, you know, can be a grant project to clean it out or improve it. I mean, it could be all sorts of things.
Yeah, but how far can you intrude on somebody's land and existing property there?
You can't. You can't intrude on the land, but see, the lake and the waterway itself is under DNR
You
jurisdiction.
know,
So,
Ford Brook, those are pretty narrow creeks. Like the one you keep saying, the creek, that's Ford Brook going down.
Ford Brook, right.
And the other one going from Ekstrom to Pinnacle is pretty narrow, so.
And
you
then
know.
that would all have to be evaluated. But you know, you have to have a goal first of all, and this is our, kind of our plan, our goal. And, you know, getting a trail from X, A to Z here is gonna take years. You know, years and years and years. And you get little segments at a time from people that subdivide. And then as the city can afford it, like you say, if you want this to be your headway, so to speak, of this, you know, linear park, yeah, you find a lot up here that you can purchase that, you know, where you could accommodate parking or whatever the case may be, just to have access. But, yeah, it's not easy, especially when we don't have rapid development. Now, I mean, it is starting to come back a bit now, from sort of a depressed 5 to 10 years we had, but.
What,
It's a
okay,
slow process.
so if we wanna do something, what's the steps in the process? I mean,
Oh, for
we've
you,
talked
if
about,
you-
we've talked about, you know, for years, oh, you know, let's put something here, then, what's step 1, 2, 3, 4, you know?
Well, I don't know if the city has the money to buy, let's say, 40 acres.
Yeah, they don't, probably not, but, you know.
So, I mean, that's probably the biggest hurdle right there.
So how much time do you spend on it
So-
if there's no money there? I mean,
Well, I mean, we're not spending a ton of time on it. I mean, this is
no,
part
I'm
of our
not, I'm not talking about tonight, I'm talking about, we
generally.
get told this all the time, concentrate on the park and trail plan. I've heard it a million times at these meetings over the last 10 years. And I don't know how much, you know, concentrate, okay, what does that actually mean? What do you do? What do you want us to do?
And that's
I've-
come up in
I've-
the, it's come up in the council meetings too, that the Park and Rec committee needs to focus
Right.
more on the park and trail plan, while,
These itty bitty projects like the rink and the foosball and the golf and volleyball, you know, we hear that all the time, you know, but, you know, okay.
we're focusing more on the rec part of it than the
Right.
park.
Cause we have funds,
Park
we have funds.
acquisition,
I know the projects I initiate, they're normally under $3,000. And a lot of people benefit from it, you know, that's how I look at it. I think every age group should have benefit from some of the funds, since it's not magnifying that fast, you know.
Right. So one thing you could do, see, in the comp plan update, there are goals and policies too under the park and trail section. So if you wanna make a recommendation that, let's say, acquisition of a new park, whether it be 20 acres or 40 acres, is a priority, you know, maybe up in this area, where, you know, you can specify and recommend that and see if the council concurs. And then maybe there's a recency to acquire cash from developers that go toward that acquisition, you know, versus something else. But if your number one goal is acquisition of a new community park, A, where is it? B, you know, I mean, I guess,
Let me ask you a question, Liz. So what I'm seeing in now then lately, it's not so much subdivisions going up where a developer goes in, buys a bunch of land. My neighborhood was probably the last one that was done that way.
Bailey Point,
Huh?
Bailey Point.
Yeah, you're right, but yeah, that kind of bombed, but
Bailey Estates, yeah.
yeah. But, what I'm seeing more of now is people buying big lots and they're hiring, custom home builders, like this home that's going up over here off of 5, and, you know, that's what you're seeing, is you're seeing like a house here and a house there and a house there. So are those custom home builders that are building these big fancy homes, are they being required to put money into the fund?
Yes, if it's a lot of record, we can't take money just to build on it. But when anybody splits, whether it be just a 2-lot split, all the way up to 100 or more lots, they each pay per lot for that park and trail fee, so $2,500 per lot.
What if they buy it from a, what if it's not being split up?
If it's just a 10-acre piece that you buy, there's no statute that allows us to require that from, you know, unless they're subdivided. It's strictly the subdivision process that triggers that.
So like this home going up off of 5, as you're heading towards Ramsey on the left, that farmer must have sold a parcel of his land to that home builder.
Well, Ing, yeah,
You talking about the Ings right here?
just about a half mile south
Yeah.
here. Yeah, they did subdivide, so they platted that. They platted 2 new lots, and then the whole back is an outlot for future development. There was a part of a street planned there. And so, yes, they dedicated $5,000 for those 2 lots.
Okay.
That was about 6 meetings worth of.
Yeah, that was a long process.
A lot of thing here.
Yeah, because they
I
had
sat
to
through
change the zoning and land use first. And then, yeah, that was a tough one.
But, I know, I don't know, are you on the Nowland Facebook page? Thorkelson's, they said that they were the only one that got assessed that on there, you know, on their lot split, you
Yeah,
know.
they did, yeah.
You saw that? You know, and, a lot of people, they said we were the only ones. people who don't know the system, they think that, you know, hey, you know, that made it look like, something was corrupt, you know?
Yeah, but they're not the only ones.
I know, but people who read that stuff, like my neighbors, they're like, what's going on here? I got 3 calls on that, you know, because nobody comes to these. I was the only one at the workshop, Joe, he was there, you know, there was about 4 people at the meeting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 people at the meet, no, they don't come, you know, so anything like that triggers all these outlandish, corruption things, you know, or things aren't right, somebody's not getting treated fairly. I have a question.
Yep.
That sand pit down on 5 there, could that be anything?
It was bought by a private resident now.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I haven't heard if they're gonna split it. Apparently they just wanted to have it for them. There may be a new home in there soon, yeah.
So as you spoke here, you talked about all of these areas that could be areas along with these. Is that too much to have on a plan?
Well, not necessarily. I guess it depends, right? I mean, what the city wants. So if the city's preference is one larger park, you know, let's say we have another park at least as big as Twin Lakes, would be a possibility. Or you prefer, you know, kind of parks that are
Little.
more defined by use. You know, one could be soccer fields and baseball. One could be more playground. You know what I mean? One could be more of another, you know, maybe a swimming beach or the canoe type thing. So it could go either way. It could be mixed use in one big park, or it could be, you know, a bunch of separate parks. But generally, if you're gonna have you know, I guess, typically, if you have a large subdivision, you know, you assume there's gonna be a lot of children in the area. You know, sometimes a neighborhood park's not a bad idea. But then, you know, we have limited funds and limited personnel for maintenance and everything. So it's not easy as you're growing. I mean, you're not to that 5,000 mark yet. We're, you know, a relatively new city. But the important thing is to work towards a plan. But you should have 5 priorities. So maybe one good thing would be to identify or recommend to the council what your top 3 or top 5 focus items should be. That's what I would say. And then we could still have all of our search areas here. I'm thinking I'll make this search area more of an oval shape to encompass this portion of the creek to show possibly the usage here for a canoe type waterway. But
So, if we just left this on there, I mean, the difference doesn't really make. I mean, when somebody comes in and develop, and they say, oh, this is a park search area, what happens then? It doesn't make any difference if they don't want to sell the property, right?
no, only if they're subdividing.
Well, if they buy a parcel and they want to subdivide later, and it's in the park search area, does that affect that at all?
No, unless they come forward, and let's say they're gonna split 5 lots. At that time, then the city says, well, you're within our park search area. You know, we need to discuss acquiring a portion of this future park.
Also, it does make a difference.
It does
if you're
make a
buying-
difference.
If you're buying a parcel within the search area, that's what I was
does.
wondering.
Yeah, it
Why even
definitely
have one
does.
if it doesn't make a difference? So anybody that subdivides property in a search area has to kick in to the kitty.
Yeah, will be considered, you know, may be considered as part of that dedication of the
May or mandatory?
land.
May or mandatory?
Well, the city decides case by
Okay.
case. So let's say it's high and dry and it's a great site for a ball field if that's what we want. Well, you know, so if, you know, we have to be fair. In other words, there's an equitable way based on, you know, square footage or acres and to figure out.
What is the formula for a park for
How-
splittage? Is there a cut and dry, like a percentage?
Yes, I believe it's 10%.
10%, okay.
Of the total land area. Yeah, and, you know, typically we would not, accept something that wasn't usable, high and dry. Yeah, it's very critical to have this visual, and as the city attorney will tell you, that this is, yeah, this goes a long way in the legality of the whole process, and being able to ask for land versus cash, if that's in an area planned for a park.
So you try to make it, how do I want to word this? So you try to make it to the developer that he wants to give the land rather than pay the cash. You try to make it to, as the city tries to make it a better option for the developer to give the land than to give the cash.
Right, we'll suggest, say at least part of your dedication has to be land because you're in our park search area. They can, the city can specify all or part of the land. And some of the land may include a trailway and you calculate that acreage or whatever too, but, yeah.
But if we did mandate one area for a larger park, then we would want almost every split to kick in money toward that development, a larger park,
Exactly,
you know.
yeah, exactly.
So you talked about this area by Morton Farms in your recommendation, that maybe we should move it closer to Morton Farms. I agree with that.
Or add, yeah, or add.
Or add down there.
Yeah, we could have moved this down and make an adjoining. Now, we'd have to look, I know there are some wetlands surrounding Morton Farms area there, but yeah, if we had, let's say, an active park area that was adjacent to the Morton Farms, forest type preserve area, that would be kind of nice.
Yeah.
So we could either A, make it larger to include Morton, or we could slide that search circle down around the Morton area. It's sort of, north and west of the Morton Farm area.
How far down are you talking about going?
Let's see, what is there?
What?
I don't
Well,
know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's over by you.
Oh, your water.
No, it's just water. It just rolled. Oh, no, it's not mouse. Although we do have mice in here.
So we could move that search area circle down toward Martin, just so it kind of encompasses Martin. Encompasses that land adjacent north and west of Morton Farm Preserve. There's some, quite a few 40-acre parcels up in there that would be.
Yeah, at least we would be building on something we have, we
Yes.
could.
Or maybe
The
some type
trails
of
could
trail,
connect. And
Yes, I just.
maybe a
went to this-
trail up to Norris Lake some kind of way. Is that all wet back there, Joe?
It's quite wet. Not all of it, though.
I mean, right here? I've never been back there.
There's wetness back there.
Spotty wetlands, but. And then part of that, see, is evaluated case by case, because when the developers come through, whenever a subdivision comes through, there's a mandatory wetland delineation. So, actually, I have this part of this. Oh, this is further north. Oh, this is part of St. Francis.
Does Plain Staff still own that property on Burns, Lake, do you know?
On Burns Lake, north side?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big chunk up there that I think he just uses for hunting or something, right? I think that's fairly wet too, though. I mean, we have a trail, proposed trail, kind of running between Norris Lake Road down to Morton Farm Preserve. You could add, oh, we do have one that goes up around Mud Lake. You could just extend that up toward Norris Lake and conceptually then, you know, if any of those properties in there come through for subdivision, you can,
Isn't most of that the boys' home? On the south side of Norris there?
oh yeah, they still do own what?
Big Barton?
At least 80 acres
Yeah.
around there. That's true. So we probably don't wanna go right through it. You could certainly go around the back of it or something though.
Morton Farm people that probably don't want a trail going from there down to their properties.
Well, but see, that's public, so trails are public and the preserve is public. People go and park in there and walk. That's what you want it used if you're gonna have it. I do think it's a decent layout, I mean, generally speaking, it's well balanced and so if we wanna focus on kinda what your priorities may be, and maybe, you know, one thing would be to expand Morton Farm area.
I don't know, what do you think, Joe? You see more Morton Farm than we do. You're, you know, all the chips and stuff. I've never actually walked down there more than 200 feet.
It's a nice backyard.
Is it? How far is it all the way back? Big Barton?
From start to the end.
Yeah.
About a quarter mile if it's 40-acre piece, so, yeah.
You're gonna have humor now here.
Never measured it.
No, like I said, I've never walked it.
So at one point, when they were redoing Viking, they were thinking about putting a trail in there, which would go from this park to
Yeah.
Twin Lakes Park. And that didn't happen. That would have been
That would've been
cool.
perfect.
That would have been
People are
nice.
asking for that. How can I get from park to park on my bike?
Right,
A lot of people ask that.
right.
They were told that we didn't want it.
Wow.
At the time, yeah, some members of the council
Right.
shared that with the county.
So now we have to go north and go down,
65.
yeah.
Which, that could be done.
Which way to get between the two?
Behind OEMB welding and down that way,
Oh,
or
okay.
up Fairwood Street and to the left. The back way to Twin Lakes.
Oh, I see, sure. Oh, 201st and not, yeah.
Yeah, and actually there's a back trail to go down into the lake back there. Once you go around the corner and start going south on the right there, there's a little gate there where you go there, where you can bike down or walk down.
Oh, really?
Have you ever seen it there? Yeah, right before you get to the graveyard, before you get to the houses, look down there. And that goes right down to the fishing dock.
Well, you could add a trail on here then as an option, because
That would probably be a good one back there.
that would be, it could be something you could apply for too in a grant.
So how would the process work on something like that? Do you have to acquire, any land from any of those people's properties to go right to the road there, or what do you do when you want a trail right by a road there?
Well, yeah, I know some of that is just easement is fairly narrow. The part that's adjacent to our business park is a little wider because they had to dedicate some right of way there. You know, I think it was around 2001.
No, I'm mostly questioning once you get past the business part. Those going from there down to the park, How, I mean, you just put a trail right there, or do you have to get permission? Or do you
Well-
have to stay within 30 feet of the center line? I mean, how's that work?
Well, there's a couple ways. So if the right-of-way is wide enough, you could work with the county to construct within the right-of-way. Whether or not it would be a joint project or just, city cost.
Is it joint?
Otherwise,
Wide enough, the right of way wide enough to put a trail?
Or depends what the county wants.
chances are there's a ditch right there and you'd have to either move the ditch back
So
or.
you're talking a lot of money that we don't have to put in
Yeah,
here.
it's not super easy. But there again.
As them lots come up, that's when you want to get your trails.
See, because we can ask for an additional 20 feet. If there's a subdivision platting a road and we show a trail, we ask for an additional 20 feet. That's right in our ordinance to accommodate that.
Oh,
Yeah, the grading and the,
because there's some large parcels on the south side of that road. Actually, on the north side, there's a few too.
there's a few of them. Yeah.
So if you show a trail on that road, we wouldn't have to mandate right now whether it's on the north or south side, or how's that work, or could it go back and forth?
Nope, that would be something you could evaluate at the time as well.
At what
To
time?
see kind of.
I mean,
well,
once you put it on there, it could go on either side of the road, or back and forth, okay.
Could go on either side, so what would probably happen is if you had a bigger subdivision that, let's say, involved one of these 40-acre pieces, then, you'd say, well, okay, does this make sense kind of along the whole north side, or is it better on the other side? So it just sort of have to, at the time, you'd have to do a little legwork on,
And there's no trail there right now, they're showing nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be a more viable option than some of those other ones that are kind of more helter-skelter out there.
But now keep in mind, see, there's a regional trail the county's planning that runs along Viking there. And then it turns, so it goes from Twin Lakes to Nowland Park, Nowland Memorial basically, goes north on Nowland Boulevard. I mean, I have no idea what their time frame is, but they do a nice job and coming through. But that's not an easy task either with all the development along Viking. But
No.
see,
That was that lady who came in and talked to us about it, about that big trail plan.
From
That's-
St. Francis?
Yeah, that's that one.
Yeah, what was the name of that, do you remember?
Well, it's
Anoka County
right here, it's the
Regional
North
Trail.
County,
I thought it had another name.
North
two of
North
them.
County Regional Trail.
Yeah,
there's another one called, I forget.
yeah, that woman was the Anoka County Regional Trail person, where we went and looked at her plan.
Yeah,
in St.
you and I did.
Francis.
I remember that, yeah. She was here once too in the city hall or council meeting.
So is that the one that's going down 47 here? That's not the one she was talking about, is it? She's talking about right here, the county, this is, okay, the county, I see it there, okay.
Another mistake on this, existing trails, Bailey's Estates,
Yeah,
there's no trails in
none at all?
there,
Is
I'm
there?
wondering if they meant that. Well, 'cause there are trails up here off of Cleary, right? What's this subdivision up here? Where,
Minks,
doesn't Denny or
yeah,
something?
mixed edition, yeah,
Yeah.
there's trails up there, yes.
Those actually exist.
Yep.
But there's nothing in Bailey? Okay.
So, we've talked about quite a few things,
Yeah.
but we should maybe choose 5 that we would recommend that we focus on.
I would,
The
I think
top
that would be a great
5?
idea.
No, I think the Ekstrom Lake should be one of them.
I think so too. We've talked about that for years.
Yeah.
Access up there,
Access.
some sort of access, okay.
As a start. I think that'll probably be one of our lower cost ones. That's something that maybe may happen right now.
Is that still for sale up there?
Beg pardon?
Yeah, lots up there still for sale?
Was it that corner lot, you think?
No, you're talking about on 24, right?
Yeah, that's that.
Oh, that
The
one's still
lawyer's
for
lot.
sale, yes.
Is it for sale right now? Yeah, I thought I saw a sign there.
It's actually a realtor that owns it now.
Is it?
She thought it was all developable and it's not,
No, it's low on the,
really low.
do you know what it's for sale for by any chance? How big is it?
It's just under 40 acres.
What's the land going for up there per acre rough?
I
You
don't
know?
remember what she had it for. I have the realtor's name, so I could do some calling.
I had that amount at one point.
Oh, did you?
For the 40?
Yeah,
The sale price?
yeah, but I can't remember.
Recently?
Oh, yeah, it was, I don't know, several months ago. Well, maybe half a year ago.
That parcel backs up to Barry Wagner's place. He accesses the creek right there
Yeah.
and goes canoeing also. Yeah, he says it's kinda nice back there. There's a guy that owns an airplane, that little cul-de-sac right up there. He
Where the
is-
big houses are there?
Yeah. Okay, so Ekstrom Lake access, or we should probably call it Pickerel /
Yeah, Pickerel Extra,
Ekstrom.
yeah. Extra and Pickerel probably be the proper way.
Okay. I think that's a great goal. And so we would be looking at a small parking lot or just somewhere you could pull off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then possibly like get down to the end and eventually have a trail leading back, or you get off at some other termination point in the future. But yeah, even just paddling in and around and then back out for any, as a first step. Okay, I like that.
So that would allow some paddling recreation. Boat.
Motor, you could say what, non-motorized, you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we do have all pretty much natural resource, water bodies. Okay,
The other one, I think you gotta move it down and include the Woodland Farm Reserve. in there.
Yeah, I like that idea as well.
something there that might be nice would even just be to connect the Morton Farm trails, you know, out to even just Cleary Road or somewhere out that way, where you can kind of go between 47 and Cleary, you know. 'Cause
That would
that's-
actually be cool.
That would be, you know, about a little more than a half mile of trail there, but we've got some big parcels there that aren't developed yet, so. Okay, so search area by Morton Farm with the trail connection to Cleary. No, is that West Fordbrook?
It goes into Westport Road.
Yeah, that's West Fordbrook Road, that's not Cleary.
Oh, no, that's clear.
Oh, it's Cleary Road, across, yeah, okay. Why am, oh, West Fordbrook's a lot closer to the, between the two. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good one, okay.
And I think Norris Lake will be a nice search area. Up there.
Well, you could show a trail that extends up toward that way, or, I mean, I don't know if you want it quite that close. If you do make Morton Farms bigger.
No, I'm
Did you
talking
say
about something
Norris?
different.
You're talking
No,
about
I'm
this.
sorry, Burns Lake, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, Burns.
Burns
Okay.
Lake, I'm talking for the third,
Oh,
suggestion.
okay,
I'm
okay.
sorry, I said Norris.
Said the wrong name, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Well, so, looking at then those properties south of Burns Lake that aren't gonna be split again most likely, cause those are horse people that both have 20 acres. And then the guy with the 40 that touches Norris Lake Road on the south side of that search area, he just fenced it all. He's got bird dogs and stuff, I know, that he lets run.
One of those is the Thorkelson house up there.
Right, right. So we could move it over slightly.
Who owns that property where they logged up there? I don't know if Dale Haney owns it, or they logged it, what, 24 years ago.
North of the lake?
Yeah, on the north side. Yeah, 'cause I hauled this, they bungled up to slabwood, and I hauled some slabwood out of there when I first moved out here about 24 years ago. And Dale Haney, I only had two-wheel drive, and he plowed it out for me so I could get in there. I don't know if he owned it or not.
I don't know.
That would be us nice up there.
The only issue there is there's no access right now, so
Right.
That'd be one, that's there.
we either
Do you ever just look for an access? I mean, without developing a park, or is the access considered a park?
It's all private property all around it, that's all.
well, you gotta either buy the land or,
Yeah, I'm talking about buying an access.
I'm talking, when I just said access, I
Yeah.
meant road access.
Oh, okay.
Cause obviously if you're gonna, but I mean, again, the lake itself is public, so if you can enter it somewhere, adjacent to, I don't know, what is this road, 200?
Yeah, I know you can come in from the east side.
Looks like it's landlocked, probably.
But yeah, right now, Burns Lake is all private, with really no roads to speak of it.
But, if they sell those off, and maybe somebody will have to put a road through to build, and maybe one day can,
Right.
go off a new road that,
Mm-hmm.
if it's in our search area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, that probably won't be in our lifetime, but if it's there.
Right. Now, there's, are you guys familiar with Lystico's property here? This is Lystico, the corner of Norris Lake and Nowland Boulevard. Or, there's some land along the west side of Bear Lake that may be subdivided in the next 10 years. Those two could be possible search areas. I don't know does anyone know what Bear Lake is like? It's pretty small, I see, but maybe it's,
You been back there?
maybe it's more like a big wetland, I don't know.
Where is it?
Right here.
What street is it off of?
You can't get to it except off of, you can see it from Engen,
Yes, I have been back there.
have you?
Chris and I went back there. When we were doing our very first 5K over there, we walked. And I think
Oh, is
we
that where that
drove
was?
back there. Yes, we drove back these roads we were driving over big logs, and we got back there.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's actually nice back there.
Yeah, there's a lot, the, Gustafsons.
Where'd you go in from?
We went from Engen. There was a driveway, somebody lived there, and then we just kept going and going and going, and,
There's 3 houses back in.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's pretty cool back
we
there.
went back there.
Yeah.
What does the lake look like?
Huh?
Is it actual lake or just wetlands?
The lake.
Yeah, it's like,
We probably didn't belong back there.
Yeah, you probably didn't. Yeah, that's a super long private driveway. But we don't have a search area over there either, but I guess I think it's better to focus on what you're saying, so one search area by Morton Farms, we can have this search area for the Ekstrom and Pickerel area.
Mhm.
And then if you like, yeah, the third up here. And I don't know, the area here between, I forgot the name of this lake, it's a P word too.
Where?
Bass Lake,
Bass and,
Pickerel.
oh, Pickerel, yeah.
Well, that's the threshing show.
Ekstrom.
The threshing show is, grounds are back there.
Yeah, I know, that's what
And then we
I,
did look at maybe acquiring, or going into partnership with Duck Unlimited. There was some verbiage about it back when Lori Oman was on there, but somebody bought it and built a house back there, I think, right, Joe?
yeah, but if they split further, see, you'd have the potential to possibly acquire some land maybe adjacent to the threshing show or something like that. If that meant anything to you, I don't know.
So would you think about moving this circle that way a little bit?
Yes, I think
Yes.
so. I think we should include maybe more of this land up here,
Mhm.
don't you?
Yep,
For the Burns Lake.
Oh, we're back to
area,
Burns?
just for a
yeah,
second.
because we're not gonna
Didn't we
get
shift down
anything from
the
here.
other one a minute, just a second ago?
We shifted Morton Farm a little, so.
No, but then I thought, weren't we just talking about,
I'm sorry, yeah, we were talking about.
Bass Lake? Yeah,
Bass
yeah,
Lake,
okay.
this one
You
here.
lost me on that.
Sorry, we switched gears. But yeah, that house is right about here on Pickerel. And then, I guess there's not a ton of space, because there is a pretty big wetland fringe there, so that may be an area, we could move, you know, there's some land for sale right here now. And I think here.
Off of Basalt?
Old Viking. Well, yeah, that is Basalt, sorry. Basalt and Old Viking. There's a piece for sale there right now. Which has
Yep.
access to Pickerel.
But you have that big access right there on the side,
Yeah, you've already got the
Already.
boat access
and that's
there.
never really overly used. Do you ever see, I only see one or two cars there unless some group is having a training session or something. I don't see hardly anybody parked there, which is a shame. That would be a good, paddleboard lake and all that stuff. Maybe we just need to market it. A lot of people don't even know it's there, for one
Well,
thing.
but see, one of your long-term goals could be acquisition of, those houses here to make it part of that launch and make an actual destination type.
Yeah, because there's a greenhouse. I can't think, the guy died of cancer. I can't think of his name. But yeah, the family still lives there in that greenhouse right across
So
Swanson.
was this Burns Lake our number 3?
Is the Burns search area our number 3 priority, you think,
I
or?
recommended it.
I'll put it down, we can always change it to 4 or 5 if we come up with something else. But always renumber.
Okay.
So
Couple
we
more.
have Ekstrom, Burns, and what was the third one? Is that the Morton Farm?
Yep. I guess, let's see, in terms of.
Who owns that property, Joe, right, west of the church, on 22, where they burnt the house down? They burnt the house down years ago. It butts up to Twin Lakes, that parcel there. Church own that?
No, there's a private. They're next to the Catholic church to the
No,
west.
St. John's,
Oh, that's Lutheran, right?
right.
So.
There's a
west-
parcel there. There used to be a house there, and the firemen did a burn there. cleared it out, I was wondering, did the church purchase that, or is that just a lot sitting there?
Oh, there's a house there,
Yeah, I think there's a house or
Where?
two
a
in,
new house in there.
No, no, it's not,
On the corner?
no.
on Twin
Across,
Lakes.
west of the church.
West, the other way,
That's east of the
west
church.
of the church. What are you thinking, like expanding Twin Lakes a little, you mean, or something?
Yeah, I don't know, if there's something going there, he had talked about archery or something years ago. You know, if it's just sitting there and,
So what's
I don't
that
know,
lake called?
sheep or something, I'm just looking at
Benjamin
options.
Lake,
I don't have a plan or
Is this
anything.
Rogers?
yeah.
Rogers Lake area's got a lot of, like 1 acre lots, smaller lot. Older neighborhood.
Is there a lake where there's a man that gets mad when they go on his property to get to the lake? Over by Rogers, maybe?
Oh, yeah, there was.
Is there
Yeah,
an issue back there?
there was, yeah.
Is he still there?
Yeah, it was something
Yeah,
regarding
you guys
just
too?
on the Ramsey now that border.
Yes,
I think I
there
have
were.
pictures about the
Yeah.
snowplow.
I don't recall what the issue was, but what are your thoughts about the future of Memorial Park? Do you think it's best left as a park, you know, keep it city-owned and just possibly available for, you know, they've got the lot across from A and B that's vacant where the ice rink is, that's kind of slated for the, you know, future city hall or new town hall or community center.
That's prime location right there.
It's a nice spot.
That's, you know, right behind the bars. I've been pushing to do something with that baseball field for years. The property there, because it's right there. It should be something other than just that field that Ham Lake plays on. And I'm not gonna go into it tonight. But plus it butts up to the city hall there. That's just a pretty lucrative spot right there. That's our crown jewel spot.
Well, see, if you could, if you could sell lots for commercial, industrial, or whatever it might be, and use that money to purchase a new park area, you know what I mean? You could think in terms of that too, like, but I don't know if that's even on the radar.
That's hallowed ground. But that's a nice spot for something that would benefit the city.
Was that donated, does anyone know, originally?
I don't know. Do you know, Joe?
10 years since I've been here.
But its location right there, off of 22, you know, right behind city, right by the park, that's perfect for something major.
Need a Walmart?
Yeah, Walmart,
Not
dollar
commercial.
store. Huh?
Not commercial.
Well, if they sold it off to commercial and bought something somewhere else, yeah.
I mean, it could also remain kind of like a city campus or a,
But that'd be a nice
But-
spot for arena or something indoor, since this is Minnesota.
yeah, it doesn't have to be decided.
So maybe that could be an area for a community center then.
Pardon?
Could be,
Community center.
if they didn't want it right, you know, people didn't object to it being right behind the bars. You know.
You know how many acres Memorial Park is right here?
7, I believe.
But that would be, with the ball field and the soccer field partially, that would make a good, community center right there.
Well, so then it's best left as just city-owned then until they decide what to do with it.
I think so.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that should be commercial in my mind.
Okay. Certainly doesn't have to be, but, I mean, especially since it abuts, you know, kinda off, you got the offices and the recycling.
Yeah.
It is kind of a focus, city-focused area. I'm kinda questioning the area between Bass and Pickerel. I'm thinking that that may not work out as well as we once thought. I mean, it seems like, you know, Power Association's gonna be there long-term.
What were you thinking for that?
Well, we were initially thinking that that area north of the threshing show would be, it might be nice to abut, you know, the threshing show area, but I don't know, I don't think it's all that large. I mean, I suppose there's 40 acres up there.
Do you happen to know what the Behrman property sold for?
Yes. Boy,
Just, I don't even, just
I wanna
ballpark.
say like
Just wonder what, is
57?
that all for 40 acres of lowland there?
I can't remember.
Oh.
Sorry, I got a brain cloud.
And that property right across the street there, that's gonna be for sale too.
Yep.
In here,
Mm-hmm.
because we're not gonna get any more
Across-
land out of there.
Yep,
Burns
because
Parkway?
the father died, and, the siblings are gonna wanna sell it and divide up the spoils eventually, once they figure it all out.
Oh, you mean Kohler? Or something else?
Bo and Dan, I don't know what their last name is.
Or is it right across from Behrman?
Right, where, when you come in on the road, they got the little wire gate across there, straight in front of you, that property, it's 43 acres, I think.
Oh,
It's gonna come up one of these years.
well, that's nice.
So what are two more areas that we could focus on, recommend that we focus on?
Maybe we should say this little area here by 47 in the creek, because, I don't know, I mean, we know that one's coming forward for.
Did you say that's the Schoolquist one?
Which one?
It's on 47, just south of 22, about a half mile. It's,
Right here, in here.
yeah, right here.
Which Goldquist owned it, Larry?
Larry.
Right,
But see how it abuts. He, like I
Okay.
said, he doesn't touch the creek, but he abuts that piece that does. And if you can get a
so it's
trail even back in
in
there.
here, and I believe this is the property.
Yeah, that's right.
Is it high and dry?
It's a little spotty. It was mined, so there's a
You
couple,
know that one?
there's a couple of little potholes
Well, where
that,
it's at, I haven't been back in there.
Oh,
that hold water, but
Let's put that on there. Do you agree?
yeah, I'm fine, I don't have any
Do you agree?
suggestions.
This,
or what we could do is just kind of show one bigger search area and then water.
and that, this would be more for a trail
Kind of trail access.
type thing,
maybe,
access.
yeah. Even if you just had, trails kind of through the subdivision and back out might be nice even.
Mm-hmm.
What about this right here between Bailey Point and 22 to the what is it? Halas. What's his name?
Oh, Hallis Street there.
Halas Street
yeah.
there. What about this? Because they're going to put that 400 or 500 houses in there, and they're going to need access to the park.
in Elk River there?
Oh, this is right here, this is Burns right here between Bailey and here.
Well, right, you've got, yeah, this,
It's on the east side, you know, because the park splits.
But the houses will be in Elk River, right?
I don't know. Some of those that they got cleared out, looks like they're gonna be in Burns too, behind the house, the mansion that got hit by lightning back in there. That's Burns. You know, that would be these right here.
no,
No?
that's not on there. No, that
Oh, that's
house,
the next one. Oh, it's
This
over,
is-
okay.
it's over here, yeah.
So
So this
these
is-
lots are here, it won't be developed, is that what you're saying?
Well, no, they could be, but those are, it's still farmed right now, those four. Folsom, I think, owns at least 80 there. This one, this funny L-shaped one right here, this was just bought, or a house was just put on this L-shaped piece. They're horse people, so they probably won't split. But there is still a cut on an access, or a road connection possibility.
Color that one in, on there, will you, Liz?
Here, this is that horse parcel.
Liz, did some younger Schoolquist buy that property off of 5 where the gravel pit is down here? How many acres did they buy?
That was a 30, around 30 or 32.
Okay,
They buy Leonard's house too?
It's the old Springer property, yeah.
what are their plans for that?
He just kind of said to me that it was, you know, he just wants it to ride four-wheelers and,
Yes.
you know, just, I don't know if he plans to build a house.
Well, they're all builders, all those Schoolquist, so,
Yeah.
you know, maybe that should be included, you know, as a, potential search area. Just like over here where we were talking about where Larry owns some land.
Yeah, because they're putting, that's gonna be heavy residential in Ramsey right there, south of that field, across from the church, at the Blue Church where they're putting addition on.
You're putting a
Oh,
school
yes,
in
the
there.
School and everything.
That's the other Schoolquist.
Where's the school gonna go? On which side of the road?
67th,
Where Bob's house is right now.
Where?
Bob Schoolquist's house is. Right past the guy that owns Right Tire, the yellow house.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's go, oh, okay, I didn't know that's who you're
So it'll be
talking
on the left side as you're heading towards Ramsey.
But I'm talking about in the field across the street, my mail lady said they had a meeting to tell her that they were gonna be, I thought she said at least 200 houses over there. So that's gonna get really busy there. So if we can have an amenity down there, that would be nice maybe.
well, but we don't need to provide park for
No, but-
Ramsey people.
Yeah, but they're, butts up to, I mean, the southeast corner of Nowland, almost.
Okay. You like that area down there for a search area or not?
There is a nice little pond or lake, small lake on the north end of that Springer property that's been left.
It would actually be over here.
What are you talking about?
There's a little triangle. Right, this triangle is the old Springer piece. And this and this.
That whole thing is,
Springers, yeah. Well, that's 30 acres, about 28, 30, something around there. But in the triangle area on the north side, there's a pond that's real. I know that they said that there was, you know, some good fishing in there and stuff, but it was not touched by the mining. It was pretty natural up on that end.
There's a pond there? You seen it?
mm-mm.
I've never seen it.
I mean, walking, we do have a pink, you know, walking trail shown there, so that's good, because that would be a nice walking area. Or how about, you know, backing up to the, what was Behrman? You could have,
Backing up which way?
well, west of Behrman, because that's the Kohler property that may be split here too.
And west of Behrman,
Straight west of Behrman.
well, straight west, you have that new street there, right?
That's 80, well, these are trails, so this,
Yeah, but this is the new road right here, right?
no, that's a, well,
Not the pink.
that's a trail that follows
The new
the
road?
road. Yeah, so this is Kohler's here.
Oh,
So they have 100 acres west of Behrman.
yeah. Does that include the pond? Lauren Kohler or Ernie Kohler property? Which one?
I don't know,
There was two brothers side by side there.
I don't know.
I can't tell by looking at, do you know? Does that include that little pond there?
Anyways, well,
Okay, so
Are we down to one
I
more?
wrote down that Schoolquist one where there could be some trail access, but, and then the Behrman west of it.
west of Behrman.
Yeah, that would be a good
It
one.
might be nice, cause you've already got that development there, so you're gonna have, 50
Yeah.
lots in there if Kohler
Mm-hmm.
develops. So that would be a nice little area to have.
Yeah, I think so.
So that would be, 5 priorities
Behrman.
that we could recommend.
I don't know, do you wanna do Skoquist and Behrman, or do you wanna do one that's, like, do Behrman and one on this side?
Okay,
We didn't, we could
Well,
say.
I like Behrman better than Skokus, I think. What do
Yeah,
you
I
guys
do
think?
too, I think, just because it's more open area there and more choices.
And then there's a cul-de-sac that dead ends right to it. Right
Yeah,
now.
so they're gonna, make that street connection
Yeah.
from north to south there through the Kohlers. So what if we just show it big enough to kind of include these lots that are, still kind of wide open there? Or just, like this?
Any noise from any of these people that are just north of 64 there? And there's some pretty, all that farmland there.
Well, this guy,
It's a lot of land there.
yeah, there,
Right on the highway, there's gonna be one of these days, that's gonna be a major,
well, that's our highest traffic count right now is right here on
where,
181st.
oh, at the point, at the four-way there?
Yep, where they come from Elk River on 181st.
Oh, yeah. Right where they wanna put,
And they
Isn't that where that proposed bills is?
yeah.
Yes. Yep, so that's still in question for possible commercial expansion.
You know what Ramsey's gonna do with the southeast corner of that? Have you ever heard anything?
Nope, I don't know, there's a greenhouse there and
No, that's the southwest corner.
southwest, yeah.
That's where you're going across the street there. I heard that Ramsey might be gonna do something with that.
Okay, I don't know, I could be interested in to call about it or look online.
But if anything, if that intersection takes off, somebody's gonna start building something along that north side of 64. All those parcels, they're gonna go. It's not gonna just stay farmland for, forever.
Right,
That's your highest traffic count in the city?
it's
Right
higher
there.
than even 47,
Really?
Higher than up here by, 22 and 5,
Yes.
right here.
Mm-hmm. 76 or
That's so
700
heavy,
cars a day.
that's so heavy residential there. down there.
700 cars a day,
7,000.
7,000 cars a day right here.
And what is it here?
It's like 5,000 or 6,000
And what
now.
about 47?
They're up and around 6,000 or 6,500.
Yeah, but look at, that's a heavy residential base just south of there and what? Going in, Elk River, coming out Elk.
You got Ramsey and Elk River now, then all coming together right there.
Yeah, you have cut through that go down now and Boulevard to the cities, or the trucks that go up this way and
Yeah,
around. to try to-
bypass the wayside,
Mhm,
way station.
Yeah, the way it scales. At any rate, okay, so You know, or we could move the search area between Bass and Pickerel over, or make it, I don't know. It's too bad, yeah, we don't have the funds to like snatch up this piece or something. Cause this is a nice parcel there.
What's that one?
You'll provide us a pretty little map. won't you?
Of our revisions? Yes. Certainly.
Because ours isn't so pretty like yours.
All right, well, what do we think for the last area here?
You just put this X right here? Is that what you did? Right
I
here?
did, yeah, it's for sale right now.
Oh, that's the one? Is that right next to the boat launch? Or is that where the greenhouse is?
No, it's not touching the
Oh,
boat launch.
that's where Swanson Farms there?
Yes.
that field there,
Swanson,
okay.
yeah. How about over here by Benjamin Lake, where we have this trail, future trail? How about something in this quadrant?
I've never
We've
seen,
got-
that's Benjamin Lake, is
Kind of
that actual
got-
lake or
You
cattails?
know, these three. I think it's kind of the last area in the southeast, either here,
That pink line is walking, right?
that would be a future trail, so somewhere in here, and then we could put it sort of on the border of the Raceler, and then there's another big landowner here, I can't think of his name, but, you know, sort of in between, and then
All the way up to that other property that we're talking about? Is that what you're thinking?
oh, this one by Larry there? We could
The one-
include,
The one that you color in right here?
yeah, that's
Or are you
Goldquist.
thinking, oh,
So could
Or I was thinking, which side of 47 makes more sense? You know, this is a little more open, but this would be a nice trail access in toward the creek. But if we're, well, this might be, well, yeah. Is this a crazy little park down in this very, just north of the Rogers Lake neighborhood? Is that all wet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Is that the Ramsey one?
is that the one there where Jeff wanted to go half and half with Ramsey or whatever?
Yeah.
That's where you want to waste money.
Because there's 15 now then residents that drive by it to get home.
Yeah, I heard that.
All this potential stuff, who's in charge of that?
Well, those are, like I say, those are conceptual, so that's where we look for, you know, when subdivisions come through, or, you know, let's say there's some grant money available and we apply to build, you know, adjacent to Nollen Boulevard or something, or maybe the county does an improvement project and we piggyback on that.
Okay.
Could be a variety of things. So we've got Morton, we've got Ekstrom, Burns, Behrman area. I don't know, I'm thinking to balance that out, this might be good in the south.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Oh, that's Benjamin, right?
So around Benjamin Lake. And we could,
I mean, you can just make it bigger to entail that other one we're a little interested in, right?
over here, yeah, we'll just do that. That sounds good. Okay, so Benjamin Lake. Okay, so that's 5. I think those are good goals. So Ekstrom would be number 1. I mean, and maybe Morton number 2 as far as priority? Or do you not want to weight them like that?
I got one question first. That's a lot of large parcels north of 6040. Sure you don't wanna use that area? Because that's gonna get developed. We know that's a given. It seems like, that's a good place to get some parkland
You could do trails,
or something.
along 181st too, or something like that too, when you're getting that right away. Although maybe it's not that great to walk there because it's so busy, you know?
Yeah, but coming in from the backside, from Burn,
I don't know, should we
that's a lot of land there.
number them or not? If we did, are we kind of stuck?
No, I think we could, we could leave them just 1 through 5 or 1 through 6 if you want to add a 6th one. And then just, because it's going to depend on, who splits first.
Yeah.
If they come up for sale, if
Yeah.
we have the money, if this, if that, there's a lot of what ifs. So, go ahead, Dan.
Hey, one more thing. Across from Bailey, Bill Schultz's property that butts up to Lestico's, that's gonna get developed too eventually. And that's in between some, a lot of residential. There's 5 big parcels right here, just south of Burnt. Yeah.
Well, we sort of highlighted Behrman though, remember? So that's kind of close together.
How big did we,
Unless-
mine's not
unless you wanna-
highlighted. How big an area did you make there?
We could go.
Would that be on the revised?
We could do-
Yeah,
yes.
but
Yeah,
that's
well,
all.
This whole blue part, she's got
Oh, okay, well, here, yeah.
blue around it.
what I could do is slide it a little south from here,
Yeah,
and that might work.
the horse trail around, Burnside Trail, is that part of, was that mandated when they developed that, do you know?
Yeah, but they're not even designated, public really.
What do you mean?
They weren't, it wasn't a typical process.
Oh,
In
okay.
other words, it's kind of goofy. I do not think they were properly dedicated for public use. I think they were just
Is that why
intended.
there's no signage there?
Yeah, I think they were just intended.
Or pub,
It's
yeah.
almost just a, yeah, I think for the use of those residents, yeah. Well, that's a good start. I think it is a good start. So, just to verify, you want me to remove that trail segment along the Ford Brook, this, on the east side of Cleary, right? Because it's so developed already?
Yeah.
What we
And-
could, what we could do
and low.
instead, and what, low, yeah. Sorry, I was gonna say we could cross somewhere in here, but crossing the creek would be a bigger, I mean, it's doable someday, but not now, the bridge and whatever, but it's expensive. All right, well, that sounds good, and then we'll work to, at some point, verify all the snowmobile trails. And Chad Johnson's updating that? Is that
He'll
good?
have it in a week, yes.
Okay, great, and then we'll add those to here. And otherwise, yeah, I think it's good.
That's a Chad Johnson, we know.
He operates the Dairy Queen in St. Francis.
Say what?
He operates the Dairy Queen in St. Francis from the Snow Ghosts.
Oh, okay.
Liz, once this is all revised, will we as a committee get a copy of it?
Sure, we can put it on one of your next agendas for you to just go over and review again.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay.
You know, our whole, plan is 2011. Maybe once we get that, maybe we just look through it and update it to 18.
Right.
Well, you know what we could do is we'll put the revised map on one of your next agendas with the park and trail policies out of not only the park plan, but they may match what's in the comp plan, but just to kind of review those and make sure that you still feel they're applicable.
I found them in here, acquisition policies you're talking about?
Yeah, there's all sorts of that, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in here. All right.
Okay, well, that's great, that was very helpful.
Thank you for your time.
It was.
Thank you for doing all
I
this.
very much enjoyed this. Thank you.
Yeah, very beneficial.
I like it a lot too, you know, my background is in landscape architecture, and I then got a master's in planning and ended up working more in the planning, but when I get a chance to kind of play around with parks and trails, it's fun, but. So I'll just hang out and listen to you guys for a little bit, so go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So, on to one of our added items, graffiti and vandalism in Twin Lakes.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up the fact I drove through Twin Lakes Park the other day, just kind of check it out, and I noticed there was a lot of graffiti vandalism on a lot of the park signs. I'm sure Joe is aware of it, and I didn't know what the plan was to fix that, if that goes through our committee, if that's something more of a city function. I think it looks bad as you drive through there. I'm sure it's happened before, and I just kind of wanted to learn what the process is to getting that fixed and getting that taken care of.
That's under day-to-day.
I assume that.
Yeah, I think we tell the office. Is there a form we have to fill out
No.
or not?
What's the process, Joe?
Wait till it warms up.
The what?
Wait till it warms up. And we'll take care of it.
Yeah, just like
So we just kind of tell the office.
Yeah.
He knows, but just like the
Deal with it.
damage when they drive on the soccer field, and, that's day-to-day.
Yeah.
Something, vandalism that happens down there.
Has it been reported to the sheriff department so that they can patrol it more?
You got a quarter to waste. You can.
They just can't patrol that.
Okay.
Yeah, the trash cans and everything's been painted down there.
Okay.
So if we as a committee hear things from community members, or we're sitting here talking about things like this, is there a form we fill out, or is there somewhere where we,
Well, for what?
For, what kind of form are we talking about?
just if we see things, or do we, just so it's documented, or do we just call on the phone?
Just call on the phone.
Phone works. Some people don't want to use them.
Okay, thank you. So, do you have your questions answered on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was noticed and if there was a process or if it involved us at all, so.
Yeah, we noticed trash cans and everything's painted.
So it's something that's actually budgeted in for the city.
You just take care of it.
Okay?
It happen almost every year to a certain degree. Yeah, it's been going on since I've been out here. It's just such an isolated area, you can't patrol it.
Okay. And then on to number 4, signage for the city rink.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a suggestion. I think that the city rink was used more this year than it was last year. Every time I went out there, it was being used on the weekends by city residents. I think it could be used more if we provided some signage. This busy intersection right here off of 22 and 5. If there was some way we could put up a sign letting people know that we have a city rink and how to get to it. I know myself, being with the Elk River Hockey Association, we had a couple practices out there and with my son's teams, and a lot of the Elk River hockey parents were not even aware that we had that and how to get to it. One thing that I'm going to do personally myself is to find the person in charge of the Elk River Youth Hockey Association website and have them put that on the website for the Elk River Hockey Association. That we do have this rink, and now then it is available, and directions on how to get there. But I think signage and I think visibility on the website and just more, more attention to it is definitely important. Make sure it's getting used.
Are we have a name for it, or do we just kind of call it our ice rink?
The ice rink.
I called it the city rink.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we should add it to the plan too.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the process is to get that done. If I know the process, I would certainly be able to be the one in charge.
Get what done?
Hmm?
Get what done?
Get the signs done for the city rink.
I believe we
Well,
recommend it to the city that they do this, because it's a city thing.
I think you should, recommend like a
We
request
just-
for council action.
Yeah.
Everything.
well, right after, we're gonna talk about this, we need signs for the whole park, so you might as well just put that on the same sign,
Sure.
cause there's no signs that say the city park's here, to my knowledge. Everybody assumes you know it's there, but my neighbor who had the two grandkids there, I guess she didn't know, she was going down to Ramsey Elementary School. And I said, why don't you go up there? And she's like, where? She goes to Bill's all the time. So sometimes things are
No, I
just,
don't think signs would have helped him.
I don't know. But there's no signs that
No.
say Nowden City Park 1 mile or whatever, like in other areas.
No.
So I guess they could just say City Park Ice Rink or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a twofer.
And I mean, it could be included in number 3, the graffiti vandalism on the park signs. So we make a request for council action to, when they're ordering up the signs that had graffiti damage to them, we order up additional ones for the park and the city rink, and we have Joe put them up.
Do they need new signs down there?
Well, the ones that are vandalized, have you seen them?
No, not this year.
I mean, they're spray paint all over them. You can't even see them.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't been there.
Drive through
I
there.
haven't been out very much.
Almost every single sign in Twin Lakes Park has got graffiti spray paint all over it.
And then as we're putting them up, you have to talk to the county, if you're on county roads.
So as a park and rec committee, we would recommend that,
Wait a minute, put which signs up? For park?
Or ice cream, if you're on county road. Put stuff there right away.
So should he talk to Randy then?
And you talk to the council.
no, you gotta talk to the council. We need to recommend that to them first. So do you wanna make a motion that we recommend that to them so that we can get it written up and get it to them?
Well, like you said, I think it's day-to-day activity. I don't,
Yes.
yeah.
But we can certainly give them a recommendation of what you see around
They're
town.
gonna want a budget, I mean, how
Like
much
the
of
graffiti stuff is day to day, this other stuff, that's up to you guys.
Yeah, I want more signs letting our residents and even our non-residents that are driving up and down 22 every day to know that we have these amenities in our town. That's all I want.
Well, I mean, you know, we could use a lot of signs, you know, that, you know, how many do you think, are you thinking?
I don't know.
And where?
It should be, I mean, you know, you're talking 47, turn right, left, or whatever, or the T down here at, I mean, how many, you know, how far down you wanna go?
I mean, I just think we need one up here in the intersection, just like there's one up there right now that's for the fire department.
So our next meeting is on March 6th. Can you, maybe create a map of where you would like these and why, and it would be easier to submit that to the council if there's some planning involved and we've actually, you know, instead of just telling them maybe we have a map of what we would like.
Probably won't get it till next year, because it wasn't on the budget for this year.
Yeah. But our next meeting is March 6th, so if we could bring it back, we could.
Joe, doesn't the county do those signs almost complimentary? I mean, like, if it
Now we
says
buy them,
you have to buy them, and they just authorize where you put them?
you put them up.
Oh, okay. But I mean, those brown ones, right, that are directional, that say like, you could say city offices, you could say
Yeah.
park, whatever.
Yeah, they put all those ones out on Pfeiffer, they put them up for us.
Oh,
Yeah, so make a plan of what you'd like to see and bring it to us and we'll, move it. Anything else on that? And then number 5 was park signage in general. So that was kind of the
Yeah,
same thing. Same exact
We're at
thing.
City Park here.
You guys were thinking the same.
Well, I brought it up a few meetings back. Did it go, do you know what happened to that? I put it on the agenda a couple meetings ago
We haven't met for,
in the summer. It was back in the summer when she told me there's no signs. And I was right. Huh?
What those signs for?
Park. Yeah.
okay?
you know, one thing that might be nice is to, maybe take some pictures of some signs in other city parks that you like, and then see, we could, you know, we have that logo now, it'd be nice to have that logo on our sign for each of our city properties. You know, it's a nice red, bright color, would get people's attention too.
Another thing you should be working on, you're supposed to be working up the rules for the foosball. Summer's coming. And we supposed to do the hockey rink, which we never seen that.
Right, I did that. I provided it to the committee that passed it on to the council, and that sign never got done.
I've never seen it.
No, what is there, did they just write a sign and put it, they plastered a sign on the warming house, didn't they? On cardboard,
Sign says
but
what?
that's not the kind we wanted.
No, what I had, I think I might still have a copy of it.
A sign that said what?
There were rules like no smoking around here
Oh.
and, in the area.
Well, I'm supposed to
Close
want
the
to
pen
put-
and stuff like that.
I think Paul had it, he had a plan for a sign.
You're right, there's a sign on the door, but that's more about, I think, that Joe probably put up, that's more about turning the lights on and off and the heat and, you know.
And didn't it say no smoking or something?
I'm sure it did.
Yeah, I think
I don't know. I don't
it was
know where it
in
is.
November or December or something. At a council meeting I saw. They had a plan for a sign, so I don't know where that is right now.
I mean, I turned it in and it was gonna get done, and
Yeah, Paul has it.
like Joe said, we've yet to see it.
Last year, she said she'd do it for nothing. I haven't talked to her.
Yeah, but you don't get, write something up.
Huh?
You gotta write something up so everybody knows what it says.
Okay. Is there anything else? I don't think so.
You guys, I was thinking about giving Will something, gift cards or something, for all the water and electricity use down. And each of the committees, the city council gave some other committee stuff and nothing. Yeah, they weren't giving him something.
Oh,
So what,
is that a park and rec function or a city function? We don't,
just for your ice rink here?
it is.
I guess it'd be-
Well, but they're not controlling.
We don't control
Right.
I
funds.
don't know, but you got an RCA in or something, make it, recommend a gift card or something.
Can you recommend
Is
that
that
as
something
a
you should
staff
do?
person? I don't know that that's our thing.
Yeah, I don't think that, I think that's you.
Sorry.
City
Well, the other
guy.
thing too that goes into that is that we're not allowed to solicit, donations.
We can't do anything like
Well,
that.
they give to other committees, to other functions, don't they?
Yeah, but we're just,
I 100% agree that we should give something to them, but
I know they say it's not the budget, but
that came
they gotta start doing something for other people. What are you doing?
hiding.
Okay.
I saw it a minute ago. The spring.
Is there anything else that anybody would like to add to the discussion here? I think we're done. Our next meeting is March 6th,
Trying to go inside the pen.
so we'll just continue.
Oh,
Very nice.
oh, well.
never got done.
Yeah, Paul knows it. I saw it. Paul had it at a meeting, at a council meeting.
Actually, the whole damn thing.
It was in their packet.
That's what I say, I thought you were looking for the
Yeah.
center.
Yeah.
And I think they were checking costs with a couple of places. County and then Paul's neighbor as
Okay,
well.
I knew I saw it there. You see the center?
I got it.
The
About the center,
actual,
about the center.
the centerpiece, you see that?
The pan card?
Yeah.
So, our next meeting is March 6th, and I think we should adjourn this meeting. Does anybody have a motion to
I
adjourn?
don't see me crawling around.
Does anybody have a motion to adjourn at 9:12 PM?
Say yes.
I'll make that
Yes.
motion.
Oh, crap, this is too funny.
We're adjourned.